What is up and welcome to today's video. So right now is Monday morning. It's gone 11:30. So we got half an hour until New York Open starts, which I trade it from anyway. And yeah, I'm going to be trading that. I'm just going to go to my brother's office for a bit just to kind of mix up the environment, change it up from this space a little bit as well, just keep things fresh. And yeah, and then I'm going to come back and we're going to talk about the rest of this video, which is, more so self-worth and self-esteem, which is going to be very, very important to discuss. But yeah, in the first video of the year, I mentioned that I was going to get a canvas here, decided to put a whiteboard here, just due to the fact that I can just, my ideas are just going 100 mile an hour throughout the day. So I just thought, cool, put my goals down on there. Any ideas that I jot down, it's just going to be super useful to be there. And then on this wall, I'm definitely going to have some sort of canvas or logo or like design, probably a wolf design. I'm not too sure. There's a few different ideas, so that's the plan. But yeah, in terms of this video, let's trade New York for a bit, and then we'll crack on with the rest of this video.
It's the calm before the storm. Things aren't as they were before. You best start bracing. Did you think you could keep us out? Shut the gates, forget us now. It's hard to change it. Can you hear the sound? Can't stop us now.
Now, easing into the first point of this topic, which is all about becoming aware of your thoughts, bringing attention to those thoughts, and then you're able to change them. So Il Nightingale once said, you become what you think about most of the time. So if you spend your entire day thinking positive thoughts, you're going to get a positive outcome. Almost not straight away, but over time you're going to get that positive correlation. Same with negative thoughts. If you're thinking, if the majority of your day is negative, how do you think that's going to reflect on your life and what happens to you and certain outcomes and events that take place? Where attention goes, energy flows. Like, there's so many different ways and interpretations of putting this, but the same is true. You are what you focus on. How you see yourself in here is so important, because that determines the actions that you put in place to work towards something, and the actions that you put in determine the results that you get into physical reality. So it's a very important point to mention, and it all correlates into one. If you study and look at a lot of different successful people, they all understand this concept on either a conscious or subconscious level. You are what you become, you are what you think about most of the time. They all understand this, they all abide by this from what I've seen so far, at least the vast majority of them do anyway. And they all have different ways, they all have their own interpretations of putting this, how to explain it. But even going back to 2019, when I was going through this, Mark used to say to me all the time, you have to become successful before you are successful. So if you break that down, what he's essentially saying there is that you have to become successful in here before it actually physically manifests into reality. And it's so true. How you see yourself is I remember there's a photo of it's like a cat looking into a puddle, and then on the other side of the reflection there's a lion. So it all starts in here. How you see yourself is how the world sees you. If you don't love yourself, if you don't respect and take care of yourself, how do you expect other people or the world to actually see that self-worth in you and respect yourself? You just can't. It's a correlation. If you respect yourself, other people will respect you. It's a constant feedback loop. So when I was going through this, that's one thing I picked up from Mark. Shout out to Mark for teaching me that and guiding me through that, because it was super helpful, and I started to pick it up subconsciously over time. And it's something that you get with experience as well. As you start to, I don't say program your thoughts, but you start to become consciously aware of what you're thinking day to day and how your thoughts create your reality, and how where attention goes, energy flows. Like, you start to understand this on a conscious and subconscious level. You start to change things without you realizing it, and that reflects in daily life. So it's a very important concept. Okay, so number 2 is to build up your self-worth by using some sort of affirmations. Now, some people like to use these, some people don't. I've had my ebbs and flows with this as well, and different techniques and stuff like that. But the most important thing is how you look at yourself in the mirror in the morning, you know? What do you actually see? Do you see yourself as a person who is worthy of success, worthy of health, wealth, abundance, or do you feel like you're not sort of worthy yet? Like, I've had those feelings before. You have to overcome them. So you have to figure out what that root cause of that is. For me, it was personal background of, I didn't really grow up with money. Like, we wasn't poor or anything, but it was like kind of lower middle class, I'd say. So I didn't really grow up with too much money or anything. So I had to deal with that. I had to get through that root cause and almost overcome that by using these techniques, by using the first point as well. And what really helped me is, you know, affirmations. I've done this in the past through different journals. Just all you have to do is go back and watch my old videos from 2018, 2019. There's journals in pretty much a lot of the videos. I'm writing, you know, daily goals, I'm writing affirmations, values, all that kind of stuff. And with repetition, that becomes ingrained within here. It becomes ingrained with your subconscious, because that's how it works. With anything you want to get into your subconscious mind, because that's where the beliefs are, that's where the beliefs that you hold about yourself are, the way you look at things, that's where everything is stored. Remember, it's the iceberg analogy. The subconscious mind is the bottom 80% of the iceberg that you cannot see. 20% is the above that you can see, which is a smaller portion of things. So you need to first put it into your conscious mind with repetition for it to become subconscious over time. It's one of the techniques used by a lot of people to ingrain things into the subconscious mind so that it comes on automatic behavior. So it becomes an automatic belief and you become like that person you want to become. So pretty simple, but what you can do is literally just do a journal, start writing affirmations down. They need to be empowering. They need to make you feel incredible when you're writing them. I think that's help. And to be present as well. You know, there's different books, there's different techniques about affirmations and stuff, but you can either use, you know, journal, you can use a sticky note, you can put it on your screen. Like I've done that in the past. I'm about to do that actually with something as well. So you can literally put like, you know, I'm a consistent and profitable Forex trader. You could put that, and obviously it's, you know, you need to put work and you need to back it, but it helps you start to open your mind up to the fact that, okay, this is me, I'm just becoming that person over time. So just do it, whether it's a journal, sticky note, it could be anything. The one thing that I would say though, this is important, and a lot of people underestimate this as well, is do it in handwriting if possible. It's one thing doing it on the computer, writing it on Notion, Evernote, Word document, or anything on the computer. It's another thing actually writing it down with your physical hand, because if you think about it from a scientific point of view, the reason why this is important is because when you're typing something out, there's only a certain amount of keys that you can press. There's only a certain amount of finger movements that you press to type that word out. Therefore, you remember it, but you don't remember it as well as you would do had you written it out. So let's say you write it out. There's so many different minute hand details that go into writing every single letter, every single word. So with that in mind, that gets ingrained within your subconscious a lot more, and it holds more substance for your mind to recognize and actually use to its advantage as well. Last but definitely not least is the work. So as you start to increase that work, as you start to take action on your goal and pursue that goal, you start to build momentum. Momentum is a very, very good thing when it's on your side. So when it's that positive momentum, you start to imagine this, right? Whether it's daily goals, whether it's weekly goals, whether it's bigger goals, no matter what it is, whether it's a to-do list, if you start to slowly start ticking them off day by day, week by week, month by month, that builds repetition. It builds a lot of confidence. So when you start looking back on that, whether it's a journal or notebook, whatever it may be, you start looking back at that, you're like, wow, okay, this week I ticked off 35 micro goals, right? Then you look back on that, it's like, wow, okay, this week was a good week, today was a good day. You start to build that confidence. It's that inner self-confidence from such a simple technique. This is one of the techniques that I use over time. And you're talking, I've been trading 4 years now. This is 4 years of journals, man. There's 4 here, different purposes, and I've got a bunch upstairs as well, but it's the same thing. Like, you build that repetition. Let me try and show you this, look, I'm not going to show you the exact goals, but like every single day, boom, 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 just repetition. So when you start to do that, you start to increase that confidence and increase that self-worth, and you just believe in yourself a lot more. So it's almost, what's important here as well is that when you write something down and when you say you're going to tick it off and then you tick it off, you understand subconsciously that you are going to do what you say you're going to do, if that makes sense. So when you say you're going to do something and then you actually do it, it feels a lot more better in here because you've said you're going to do it and then you're going to do it. So it's a powerful technique and it should not be overlooked. Last point to finish off this self-worth section, which is vitally important, so make sure you tune in and listen to this part as well. So in regards to self-worth, you know, the most important thing in my opinion is to really ask yourself the quality questions. You need to backtrack, you need to go back in time. A lot of the beliefs that you have within your mind, maybe they're self-sabotaging, maybe they're negative. For example, you could have, okay, you may not consciously know you believe this, but deep down subconsciously, you understand that you know this, if that makes sense. So you could have, okay, money is hard to make, or I can only make 20 grand a year, or successful people I believe are, you know, bad, or whatever belief it is, right? There's 101 beliefs you can different have. What's important is to identify what beliefs you actually have, because that's the only way, in my opinion, based on my experience, to change that belief. Now, when you go back, you may say, well, where do these beliefs actually come from? Like, I don't remember actually consciously putting these into my mind, and the likelihood is that you haven't. It's just a subconscious belief that you've picked up from your environment, from the people, from your thoughts, from every factor. Now, what's important to note here is that before the age of 7 years old, that 0 to 7 period is the most important stage of your life for, you know, programming your mind to a certain condition. What you see around, look at the way children observe things. They pick up everything. You listen to, you know, you speak a certain word, that they'll start speaking that word before long, and you pick up different things from their environment. They're like a sponge, so they just absorb things from family, friends, things maybe at school. Every single thing they will pick up on and use that themselves, because you have to remember, at that age they don't have their own identity, so they're trying to form that identity, and the only way to do that is to observe other people, observe what's around you, pick up things, start to use things. So you are a product of your environment. It's so true. So what I personally recommend doing is just getting a notebook out, getting a journal, whatever it may be, and just start to backtrack. Just, you know, put some music on for a bit, spend an hour by yourself, and just think about where these beliefs formed from. If you have a negative belief or beliefs, think about where they started. Where did they start from? Get to that root cause as much as you can, and then that's how you change it. So you have to go up the family tree essentially, or the tree of beliefs, to figure out what that root is. You know, if you're looking downstream a river, you need to go up the stream, go to the source. That's the only way to change it. And once again, how you do that is like we described before with the techniques, affirmations, changing your thoughts. These things help massively. So by affirming the right things into your mind subconsciously with repetition, that starts to almost, overcome those negative beliefs. For an example, I used to, like I said before, I used to have subconscious negative beliefs regarding money. Like, I didn't consciously believe that I did, but when I really started to dig down and spend time by myself and start to ask myself these questions that are important, I started to figure out, yeah, you know what, I actually do. Why? Because it's just a product of my circumstances growing up. And when I started to change that, certain things started to happen. Like, I was going to bring on to this point as well. Things will turn out in your favor. You never have to focus on how things are going to play out or how the journey is going to play out. Things will come in your circumstance, in your existence without you even thinking about it. Like, something that is completely off your radar may come into your radar and help you out massively. For an example, if you believe that, 5% per month in the markets is possible, someone comes along, smashes their beliefs and makes 35% in 1 month. Now that belief is shattered, right? You know that someone's made 35% in a month and you thought only 5% was possible. That belief is, more or less gone. If you still have that belief, a couple more times this is going to happen, and slowly those new beliefs are going to overcome those old beliefs. So it's the same in trading, it's the same with money, it's the same with anything. If you believe that 20 grand in a year is possible, and then someone makes, 100 grand in a month, then it slowly starts to overcome that belief. And that's what's important, because those things turn up in your life that you will never expect, but it works out in your favor. Things will come into your life, people will come into your life, show you that more things are possible. Make sure to pay attention. Now, moving on to the self-esteem part. Now, I wanted to spend the majority of the time focused on self-worth, because as you start to build your self-worth, naturally, your self-esteem will increase as well. So it's a byproduct of both. So the first thing I'll say with self-esteem is, recognize the skills that you have. Everyone has skills. Everyone has skills, whether that's in trading, business, your ability to be able to speak. You could be clever, you could be artistic, you could anything that is to your advantage. Recognize the skills that you have, because that's the way that you start to build up that self-esteem, because you recognize, okay, yeah, I might not be good at this, but I'm good at this and I'm good at this, and you start to tally the chart and you realize, okay, this is where my importance lies, this is where my advantages are, this is where my strong points are, this is where my weaknesses are. And that's how you start to build yourself up, because you have to know your strengths and weaknesses. This is the only way to grow. Build positive relationships is the next part, whether that's friends, family, boyfriends, girlfriends, whatever it may be. Make sure they're positive and not toxic relationships. There's a big difference. When you're around a toxic person, you can feel it. You just know that they're toxic. You know that they're negative. You know you shouldn't be spending time with them, but you still do. Why? It's different when they're family, friends, it's a little bit different, but try and limit that time as much as you can. Surround yourself with positive people. They don't have to be business, they don't have to be traders, they don't have to be, wanting to get a lot of money or whatever it may be. Just make sure that they're at least positive and they're trying to better themselves and they're really trying to improve different aspects of their life. It could be health, it could be wellness, it could be sports, it could be nutrition, it could be anything. Just make sure that they're positive and they're giving you energy versus taking the energy for you. Like, I'm a big advocate of energy and protecting your energy. So when someone comes along and starts to complain about different things, whether it's a simple thing as the weather outside or the circumstances in the world or whatever it may be, those people start to complain, I naturally just drift away from those people, because that's not the way I want to live. And once again, this is in all aspects of life. This could be positive relationships, but it's also a positive environment as well. What are you watching on a daily basis? What are you listening to on a daily basis? Start listening to positive people, audiobooks, podcasts, turn off the news. Like, these basic steps are going to help you to be more positive in life, instead of being down in the dumps, complaining about the weather, just like the average person on the street. You want to almost rise above that. It's very important. The next one is to respect yourself and your values. If you don't stand for something, you will fall for everything. So make sure that you have, you understand your morals, your values, and just stick to them. That increases self-worth, self-esteem, because as you start to stick to them values, you know that no one's gonna, start to tread along you. No one's gonna walk all over you because you stand for something. That is the most important thing. Next one, quick one. Learn to be decisive. Be as decisive as possible. That person who can't decide to what to eat in a restaurant or what to watch on TV or what to listen to is the same person who is not sure about where they want to go. So make sure you're decisive, make sure you pick decisions and just stick with them, because if you look at a lot of successful people, they make decisions quickly, efficiently, and they stick to them. Next point is to start saying no. I was that person when I was a teenager, when I was still learning about myself, that would always say yes to everything, just to be kind, just to be nice about stuff. But at the end of the day, I just learned over time that you just can't do that. It's not in your best interest to do that, and it's not going to help you, it's not going to help them. If you don't want to go to a place or you don't want to do something, just say no. Just say no up front. They're at least going to respect you more for saying that and be honest, rather than saying yes and following things through. And then 2 weeks, 2 months, 2 years down the line saying, nah, you know what, I don't want this. So be upfront, be decisive, respect yourself, and just make decisions quick. It's the most important thing. And last but not least is exercise. This is just a very simple thing. When you're exercising, you just feel good about yourself, you feel good about the way you're improving yourself, the way you look, just little things like that. It's a very, very simple improving effect. So whether that's working out, training in the gym, whether that's running, whether that's any form of exercise that just you resonate with, just do some form of exercise. It feels good, you feel better, you're in a better, clearer state of mind, and it's just overall going to build up that self-esteem, especially if you know that you're improving yourself. So a very important point. But hopefully you've enjoyed this video. Hopefully these points have been valuable to you and you really start to take them on board. If you need to watch this video again, go back, and there's a lot of things discussed in this video from experience, from my past experience dealing with this sort of stuff. So make sure to take your time, pay attention, and apply these things in real life. So I will catch you in the next video. Hopefully you enjoyed this one, and yeah, speak to you all soon.